And here we are. Come in. Hello. Hi. Just going to be doing a live stream. Currently no. Good evening, my friends. This is Paul. And today is a very special day because I have over 200 subscribers, almost 230. Man, I must say it's kind of overwhelming in a good way to know that somehow over 200 people like to watch my stuff, or at least say that they do. Oh well. At one point they wanted to, and that's better than nothing. I don't even know what I've been doing differently since then. I'm pretty sure I've just been pumping out the same old content, maybe a bit more on the video gaming side, because Gamefly and recent releases have been great. Or maybe it's because I finally got my capture card working in a decent condition. But I'm still just a normal dude that's living a day's work and hoping that I can please the Lord. I mean, I'm not exactly a celebrity or anything, just a guy that loves gaming and God and going live. So I'm going to start with thanking all of my subscribers that are on my subscriptions list. Now, as I said when I did my 150 subscriber special, this is not going to list all 220 of you because only people who have set their subscriptions publicly are shown on this list. So if you're set to private, then you're not going to appear, or maybe you've not subscribed yet, or maybe you unsubscribed and somehow you're still watching this and being like, what's that Paul weirdo up to? I remember a few names though, so watch yourselves. Anyway, we're going to start with most recent and work our way down so that the loyalists can have their share in the limelight. And please forgive me if I butcher any of these names. I'm an American, and some of those dashes and stuff like that are just... okay, I'm going to try. Most recent, Asociación Cultural Igus Shalela. Man, that sounds like the kind of song you'd hear in like a Moana movie. Asociación Cultural Igus Shalela. Like a La Bamba substitute. Sean Moses. Thagamizer. Somehow that reminds me of the Avengers. Infinity War. Tugboat 450. Shadow MC7. That's a Final Fantasy VII reference. Cyprian Robica, Alexander Mora, Fantas, Fantas, Mogori, Mint Chip the Plushie, Regular Guy V2, Dancin' Mad, Trin Rays, Lisa Rarig. It's loading more. Patricia Heath, Through the Telescope, because they have an exclamation point next to the name. Vern Degenes, Dominic Trofa, okay, I am so sorry if I butcher this one. Mr. N. Kusinagi Zero, Hikikomori Gamer, Marmoto Monax, Kent and Susan Duffy, Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, except without the over-sexualization, so nice touch there. Kawaii Princess, Destroyer of Destruction, Weddle 2002, Pan QQ, something like that. Brandon Yeller, Houston Howell, Bree Summers, Ian, LJ Specs. Wonder if Evie Jean is the person I'm thinking of, because I have a friend that goes by Evie, but I'm not sure if she's the same person or not. Joseph Ponte, Thai Kusk. Very interesting style of filming you have. I've watched some of your YouTube videos. Audrey Coppernoll, Will Blanco, Jenny85 Vanadalia, Elena Pocock, Mr. Big 200, Mulet, Shy Plush, Jenny LaFrench, SoCat, X Slowdive X, Adam Sita, Sarah Flores, Matthias Lemingu, Matt Amos, loading. No, that's not the name of a subscriber. If it was, I'd be questioning a lot of things. Carolyn Tulis, Yifri Jiffida. Wow. Master Human Video, Rita, because it's all in caps. Generoso, Bad Guy, Bible Sand Boots. Actually, it's Bibles and Boots. I know her, great friend of mine. Sometimes she makes these little mistakes on Facebook, and I'll like pounce on them just for fun. Craig, I can't even pronounce this name because it's not even written in American characters. All I can make out is the last name is Bece, and then all of them are like in some kind of different language. So whoever looks like a backwards letter D, you're on there. Max Fowl 05, Yuva Feather, Moises Mello, Julian Barkin, Rhonda Martin, Bronze Qual 55, John Schmidt, Evan Herberth, Nylan Adams, Nicholas Caruana, Thinker. I think I know. Nice pun there. I think I know who you are, but just in case I'm wrong, I won't say anything. I don't want to embarrass you, but pretty sure we've talked on this live stream before, so cool that you're still there. Wikipedia Wickchad, AJ Johnson, Fantasia Scout RP, Giselle Carbajal, M. Farrell, Aragon John 7, Majora's Wrath, Teresa Wilson, Sarah Guajardo, Annette Chowdhury, Aeroplane Lukman. I don't know how many times I've said that on these live streams, but that's just, it never gets old. Chrissy Q, Darnell Rogers, Taylor Matthews, Aaron B., and Caitlin Horndash. And probably a heck of a lot more had I been able to actually see your names on here. So, hopefully you guys will view that later as, oh my gosh, I'm actually on there. Hey, welcome to the live stream. Glad you could make it on time. So, I just finished listing off the names of all of my subscribers. Unfortunately, you must have set yours to private because I wasn't able to see it on there. But hey, I know you're there. That's super cool. So, man, having all these subscribers, wow. Like, what even encourages people to subscribe anyway? So, question of the day, GG Gecko. What kind of video games do you play? So while I'm waiting for these responses, because I know my computer sometimes loads them at a semi-slow rate, I just want to say to anyone who's not going to watch this live, who's probably going to watch it later, that one of the highlights of having subscribers on this channel has been the videos that you guys watch, but more so the interactions I have outside of the videos or in the comment section that are always so entertaining, because it's one thing to talk to a camera, but it's another thing to have the people that are looking at you from the camera talk back. It's like, I'm not just talking to myself here, I'm talking to real people. And that just feels really satisfying. Must have been, now that I think about it, no one ever thinks about in the Bible when Jesus is doing the Sermon on the Mount, like, did the crowd ever come up to him and ask more questions? Or did he, like, take that into consideration as he was teaching and just decided, I'm just gonna, because I'm omnipotent and I can read their minds, I'm just gonna say whatever they can handle and they won't come and ask me questions. Probably something I'll ask him when he gets to heaven. So, for those of you that don't know, I've had a couple of, well, one person, I'm not sure if this is universal for all people or not, but sometimes there's a caption cap. Like, you can only say so many things in a chat before it says you've been talking too much. So every now and then I'm just going to type stuff like, ask me about pretty much anything, unless it's super inappropriate. That stinks. If I knew how to get this to be where, like, I could actually hear my commenters, I'd love it. I would be, like, in seventh heaven if that were the case. Like, if I could just, like, click on someone's name and say, technically I've already been doing that because, like, I just reviewed Undertale, and that's been out on the PC since 2015, but I reviewed it on the Nintendo Switch. However, I will make an exception just for this live stream because there has been a game that I beat back in 2017 on the PC. To my knowledge, has yet to come to a Nintendo system. So, let me type this in for the audience that is coming in late. But yeah, I've played some games outside of Nintendo. Like I played Sonic Generations on the Xbox 360, played Portal on the PC, a little bit of Braid, some of Myst. Okay, almost there. Got to figure out how to uncapitalize the M in there, and we'll be all set. Okay. No. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Zero Escape the Nonary games is a compilation of the first two games in the Zero Escape trilogy, now receiving an HD upgrade, and in the case of 999, an almost complete overhaul. The game was originally released for the DS in roughly 2009, 2010. It sort of got a repackaging deal along the way, so it's kind of confusing when it was actually released. But suffice to say, it was a very story-heavy game that would have been great if it had voice acting, but because it was on the DS, it was limited by the, of course, limited capabilities of the hardware of its time. Now, when it came to the ending, it would have been really hard for Axis to adjust it to the dual-screened nature of the DS. So let's see some of the ways in which they got around that problem. So first off, it's going to be a huge hassle setting up 999 if you're going to play the remaster, because if you're like me and I'm not used to playing games on Steam, you're going to have to like pretty much do a sequential every single combination type of deal, because I don't know what screen settings are going to work. Like one option we did made like half of the screen like all staticky, like one of those "please stand by for technical difficulties" kind of thing. Then there was another option where like the sound kept crashing on us, or like the voice acting would go faster than the dialogue would appear on the box. But once we got it running, it went really well, and in some instances smoother than it did on the DS. Although I was kind of disappointed by the slowdown I experienced because of the nature of it being on Steam instead of a DS, which runs off of cartridges instead of a... What does Steam run off of? Well, whatever Steam uses. It definitely makes for some slowdowns that can't be avoided. So, for those of you that haven't watched my 999 review, I don't blame you. That one was pretty ancient. 999 is a game where like 90% of it is story that's loosely based on the movie Saw, where you have like a lot of rules, and if the characters don't follow the rules, then they get executed and have to make difficult choices along the way. And then like 10% of the game involves escaping from rooms. And sometimes there's dialogue within the rooms that changes depending on choices that you've made. You can choose what you're going to say in a conversation, and you can also look around the room from either a top-down perspective or by shifting your focus by turning around. I wish they would have made it like in the later two games where you could freely move the camera all the way around, but this is a nice way of making sure that the player doesn't get too confused while navigating around the rooms. The puzzle solutions are exactly the same as they were on the DS, so if you still have that notebook that tells you how to beat it, because you originally had to keep rebeating the puzzles over and over again, it's going to serve you really well here. Wish I would have brought it with me when I was helping my friend beat it, because that would have been a huge blessing. So some of the benefits to this HD remaster include a fully voiced cast during the novel sections. Appeared in the later games, reprised their roles for this one, and still managed to sound younger, even though it was a later game, which is super amazing with their voice talents. I think at first it was like kind of jarring to hear some of these characters talking for the first time. Because it was the same actor that played him in Zero Time Dilemma, but because he was trying to sound younger, I was a little bit thrown off at first. Nevertheless, the voice acting was stellar. Maybe not exactly as I imagined it on the DS, but still really good. And it added a lot of oomph to the more emotional scenes, especially that death at the beginning of the story, if you know what I mean. I really loved how the game added a flowchart so that you don't have to replay the puzzles to get all the endings. But what I didn't like was the complicated nature of the way that the flowchart was structured compared to how it was in the other games. Because in the other games, every single decision would equal a different ending. But in this package, like depending on the conversations you'd have in a room or choices you made before you got, that would affect how the timeline proceeds. So you might go to an escape room, and then there'd have to be like an amendment in that escape room. And in order to get a certain ending, it's not enough to just pop to a spot where you need to make another decision. You'd have to pop to every single node and make decisions in order to keep influencing the timeline. And it felt slightly cumbersome, and it was really annoying that we actually had to look up Steam help to figure out what the heck we were doing to try to get through this. I mean, it's way better than having to play the game over and over again. But one of the downsides to this is that it tends to downplay the need or the inherent desire that one has when they're playing 999 of wanting to figure out how to piece their way to the ultimate ending. Like usually you'd pick up on certain bits of dialogue and say, maybe if I followed this train of thought, maybe that'll help me achieve the ultimate conclusion. And while you can still do that here, the flowchart is by no means necessary. If you want to repeat the game and play it DS way, I don't know why you would. That seems like an epic waste of time to me, but you can. It's possible. But if I were you, I would try a lot of quantum physics, and eventually it leads to one of the most startlingly amazing conclusions I've ever seen in a video game. Now, granted, the final part of the game feels a little bit forced because the original ending was designed to take advantage of the dual-screened nature of the DS and the fact that it was portable. Not going to say any more there because less is more when it comes to talking about 999. And they did what they could to make it adapt to a single screen, but definitely some of the magic is lost here. And the final puzzle feels like it's an absolute joke compared to what they had you do in the original version. Nevertheless, this is definitely the definitive version of 999. They managed to make the artwork look cleaner without necessarily taking away from the art style, so it's more refined than revolutionized. Now, I didn't even bother trying to play through Virtue's Last Reward, and that's because that game is virtually unchanged from the PS Vita version. So it still has the HD and it still has the horrible lip syncing. I think they fixed a couple of the typos, like instead of Fi saying I dunno on the text, it says I dunno with a U. To my knowledge, the only like true change they made to Virtue's Last Reward was at the very end of the game. They replaced one of the voice actors to make it more in line with the continuity of the series, because they had to replace one of the actors, and I think that's pretty cool. It's just a shame that it's only one scene. Like, there's another character that would have been nice if they revoiced that character, but kind of a misstep. Overall, I think if you're gonna get this package, get it for one of two reasons. Either you haven't played a Zero Escape game yet, and you're sort of a Steam-only person and want to, like, experience the whole trilogy with unified voice acting. There's actually a bundle where you can get all 3 games for, like, $70. And before you say, Paul, that's an insane price, you're getting 3 amazing games. Like, don't you think should be able to charge an amazing price for games that are this good of caliber? In addition to that, I would still recommend getting this anyway, even if you have played the DS version, because you get the voice acting and the flowchart to make it a smoother, more emotionally powerful experience. Now, if you've already played Virtue's Last Reward and you could care less about remaster of 999, then I'd say there are better ways to experience it. In my opinion, I think the 3DS version of Virtue's Last Reward is the definitive option, because it not only has the dual screened nature, making the top screen less cluttered, but it also, it also has much better lip syncing, and the touch screen is much more responsive on the 3DS, and it's easier to take notes for the puzzles using the memo feature that's very reminiscent of Professor Layton. I don't normally like giving scores for video games that I do, but if I had to do one for Zero Escape, the Nonary games, I would have to give it a 9.1 out of 10. I'd like to say 9.5, but because they feel like it feels like 90% of the effort went into 999 and pretty much none of it went into Virtue's Last Reward, how it's basically just a port of a PSP or PS Vita game, it feels like this is only half of a product, and so not nearly worth all of the investment. Just get the 3DS version. It's pretty darn cheap. I've seen it for like $12 at some GameStop stores, assuming you can find it. So that is my non-Nintendo review that I have done. So if you want to see it again, come and watch this stream all over again at the 18-minute something odd mark. GG Gecko, hope you were able to watch most of that. I'm sorry if either my internet connection or yours caused you to miss any of it. Here, I'll type in a consolation message. Okay, so that was actually pretty fun. So a couple of things I want to thank you guys for as far as helping me to improve my channel. Well, sort of, because I did have a piece of advice from someone that I'm not sure if he subscribed to me or not. So I'm not sure how he's feeling. Maybe he gave up before he knew that I was actually taking his advice. But I want to thank everyone that encouraged me to get a better camera for video gaming, because I was like, for the longest time, putting off getting a flash drive because my sister accidentally destroyed my previous one, and I figured, I've got theatrical history. I know how to entertain an audience. Apparently I don't. To YouTube. Oh well, I think I'm a good thespian. Not lesbian, thespian. There's a difference. And I don't need people to tell me otherwise, because they could very well be wrong. Were you able to see my Nonary Games review good enough? And yeah, I get it. Bad internet connections, it happens. I mean, currently it's saying you're not even watching this, and yet you're able to type out sorry, so my computer must be going wacko, which it says that I have full bars on internet access, so I have no idea what the heck is going on. Maybe YouTube just needs to sort out their live stream algorithms. Now, as far as reviewing any other games outside of what I just reviewed live, the only games I'd probably be able to do realistically are like the humongous entertainment games like Putt Putt, Freddy Fish, Spy Fox, because I never really had the patience to sit through a game that wasn't on a Nintendo system. Because like with PC and Steam, it's like they take up so much space on the hard drive. With, say, the Xbox 360, their menu structure is really confusing. And not only that, but as I was playing through Sonic Generations, they got to this annoying part where I had to like search for treasure, and it was just like, ugh, this is why I didn't play through all of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on the GameCube, because it was so obnoxious. So unless you really want to hear my impressions of Putt Putt Joins the Parade, probably going to have to stick with Nintendo for now, unfortunately. Fun fact, my best friend and I actually did film a Sonic Mania review before I played it on the Switch, but I didn't end up putting it on my channel for various reasons. But thankfully, I ended up re-reviewing the game, and now I'm doing an ongoing Let's Play of Sonic Mania Plus. It's not called that, but I figured too many people call it a Let's Play, so I might as well differentiate myself a little bit. Anyway, back to questioning before I blab you to death. GG Gecko, as well as anyone else that might be watching, if it's not telling me, have you ever done any Catholic reviews on your own channel? While I'm waiting for him to type out, or her, I don't actually know. Yeah, that'd be cool. I would be really excited to see that if you were able to do that, because I don't really know of like any other YouTuber. I know there's one named That Catholic Gamer Dude that I used to really like his videos, but he didn't so much review, more like he would take video games and like talk about the morality in it. But apparently I surpassed him, because he subscribed to me for a while, and now like I've been posting way more than he has. But yeah, like you should check out his Zelda immorality video. Yeah, so fun fact, I actually did an unboxing video a couple of minutes ago. I plan on uploading it after I upload this live stream, but I just unboxed Mabel from Animal Crossing, Chibi Robo from, well, Chibi Robo, Daisy from Super Mario Land, dressed the way she is in the Mario Party series, and Boo, which is actually an import from Japan, so they call it a Teresa in Japan. So now I'm not going to be able to say he anymore, I guess. Unless it's pronounced like Teresa or something. I don't really know how to speak in a Japanese accent all that well. All you just do is just put ooh, ah, and eh at the end of every word, and you can speak Japanese in a heartbeat. So you said that you're a fellow Catholic. So do you, what's the word? Do you ever talk about like movies and how Catholic or un-Catholic they are? I am so sorry if you've already posted and I'm not reading it yet because it tends to go by a little bit slowly. I think it's just the nature of live streams. Thankfully, unlike most live streamers, I do try to respond to every single thing that people type of me. Unless it's like one of those, your videos are cool. Then I don't really know what to say. I use the actual system. When I'm reviewing Wii games, I'll record them off of my Wii U, but I don't actually believe in emulators. So if I do get a Nintendo game, it's going to be on the actual thing. I have done a couple of virtual console reviews. Like, I recently re-recorded Super Mario 64 DS and New Super Mario Brothers using the Wii U Virtual Console. Every Switch game I've reviewed is on the actual Switch. I'm not sure if my capture card works for the NES or Super NES Classic Editions, but I definitely plan on using those in the future. Like, I want to review stuff like Super Ghouls and Ghosts and Gradius if I ever get around to playing them. It's just there's so many games on those systems that I'm just like trying to cram in like, which game should I play first? I recently started Star Tropics on my NES Classic Edition, and I think that's a pretty fun game. I'm pretty excited to start using footage for that because it seems like it's an evolution of The Legend of Zelda, like before A Link to the Past, and that seems pretty darn cool. I'm also a huge fan of Balloon Fight. So if you really want me to re-review that game, I'll go ahead and spend the extra money to get it on the Wii U because that game is just so incredible. Speaking of which, I'm going to ask this to you in person, but I'm going to write this out in case people come to this late. So, would you want me to buy a game on one of the 3 systems I mentioned just for the sake of reviewing it? Like, for example, Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance. I've beaten that game so many times, but yet I don't have a way of recording Game Boy Advance footage, so I'd have to get it off of the Wii U Virtual Console. Of course, even then, that would be kind of difficult because of Nintendo's stupid copyright issues. I might just have to put up with them. Speaking of which, if any of you ever see ads in my videos, I'm not the one that puts them in there. Believe me, if I had my way, I would get rid of ads altogether on YouTube. There's an app that you can get for your browser. It's called AdBlock Plus, and I think they recently made an AdBlock Premium to sort of evolve. And if you do that, then even my own videos, you won't see a single ad. The only time I think you would see an ad is if Nintendo notices that I'm using their characters or their music in my videos. Which, oh my gosh, do they have an eagle eye. Sometimes I'll post a video and 2 seconds later they'll already say, you have visual content that we have copyrighted. And it's just like, I turned off the sound, people. There are a few tricks to getting around them, though. Like Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, I think I was able to get away with that because the game was published by Koei Tecmo and developed by Team Ninja. So Nintendo didn't really have a say. I was also able to record footage of Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle because Ubisoft both developed and published that game. So Nintendo wasn't able to say this is copyrighted footage because they were supervisors and not actual makers of the game. Same with Rayman Legends. I recorded all the music levels in that game. Oh, wait, no. I didn't wear a Mario outfit. I wore the blue outfit because I'm a huge fan of the color blue. But you could. Well, I understand your fear because the first time I got a copyright notice, I thought that, like, I was in trouble. But it turns out that unless they say it's a copyright strike, you don't really have to worry because most of the time, if you just get a copyright claim, it's basically them just stating the obvious. It's the difference between you have brown hair versus you have committed a crime and I'm going to take you to court for it. It's not a crime to have brown hair, but it is a crime to rob a bank. So if they haven't said, like, you have violated our rights, and they just say, oh, you have copyright content, and I wouldn't panic about it too much. It just means that they're going to take, like, whether it's monetized or not, and either unmonetize it or they'll monetize it and take all the profits for themselves. Usually for me, it just means people aren't going to watch it as much, or I'd have to, like, really push them and say, hey guys, I did a review of Super Mario Odyssey with footage. Yes, I know the first one I did was terrible, but I re-reviewed it. And I think it turned out great. Just Nintendo didn't like the fact that I showed Mario throwing Cappy in the official cinematic. So yeah, I've beaten a lot of video games that I haven't reviewed. And usually the reason why I don't do that is because my memories of the game aren't sufficient enough where I think it would be an accurate review. I think that's why a lot of people didn't like my Super Mario Sunshine review. I mean, if they didn't like it just because of the video quality, they should have said something. But I think they might have been like, you sound like someone who played it as a child and are just gushing on your nostalgia. And maybe that's kind of true. But I also really like Super Mario Sunshine. Like, whenever I go back and have the chance to play it, I'm amazed by the fluidity of the controls and the brilliance of the way they use the R button. Like, to my knowledge, no other GameCube game uses the triggers for their buttons to that degree of amazingness. And I think that might have actually subtly inspired the ZR and ZL buttons on the new 3DS, the Wii U, and Switch. So assuming you're not typing something else out, if you are, cool, I don't want to interrupt you. But if you're not, then I'm curious if you'd want me to, like, spend a couple of bucks on another virtual console game just so that I can get footage for it. Of course, I'd have to beat it, but like I said, there are quite a lot of games I have beaten. For instance, Yoshi's Story, The Last Story, Fire Emblem the Sacred Stones, Mario Kart 64, Mario Kart Wii. I don't think I have to re-buy that game, though, because I do own it on the Wii. Actually, I don't think you can re-buy it on the Virtual Console. Mario Kart DS, I never beat. Yeah, I did. I loved Miiverse. I thought it was really amazing, especially leading up to the release of the Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS DLC. And I really liked how it was kind of like Facebook for Nintendo nerds. And I loved saying, you know what, this is my evidence for why I think Phoenix Wright or Professor Layton would appear in Smash Brothers. Because I would be posting screenshots from Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. And I'd have this girl, forgot her name, I think it was like Audrey or something. Haven't spoken to her since because Nintendo shut down the Miiverse service. But she and I would talk for like days on end, or sometimes hours on end, just saying like, I love the Layton games and I like this part and I think that would be cool in Smash Brothers. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun to experience gaming on such a deeper level. Or like with Super Mario Maker back in the day, I'd comment on levels that I'd beaten and I'd say, wow, dude, your level was amazing. And then sometimes they'd say like, oh, thank you. Or I'd see like a post from someone else about a game that I liked, and then that would start a conversation. Man, I am really bummed that they took down that service. I hope that like if Nintendo really wants to redeem their current Switch Online service, they need to bring back Miiverse in some capacity. It doesn't necessarily have to be the name, but maybe if like there was an expanded version of Miiverse, I would be willing to pay money for that. Because I am currently like 0% excited about Nintendo Switch Online. If I were to get it, it would probably be maybe if they had like GameCube games, or if they went the extra mile with NES games and actually remade them instead of just shoving online into it and calling it a day. Like, say if they fixed the slowdown in Kirby's Adventure, or if they like did a Link to the Past graphical overhaul of The Legend of Zelda, I'd be floored. Because you may have noticed, if you've watched some of my earlier videos, that I prefer reviewing a remake before I review the original game. Because sometimes the thing with remakes on Nintendo systems is they pretty much make the old game pointless once they have the remake. So I figure if this is the definitive version, I might as well not even bother reviewing the inferior one. Although there were a couple of times that I was really shocked. Like when I first reviewed Radiant Historia with my best friend, then Perfect Chronology was announced. And I really enjoyed the fact that we got to review that before we knew that there would be a remake. And then when there was a remake, I reviewed it by myself because I played through it all and we both ended up loving it. But we both had very different experiences with it because I came in from like mostly a, oh, he said that it was like this perspective. And he came into it with a, oh, I can't wait to see how they've improved it. And it's definitely one of the better remakes I've reviewed because it substantially, not just slightly, but substantially adds more content. They like added more story, like a bunch of new dungeons, new bosses, new music. That's the kind of stuff I want to see in a remake. I don't want to just see, oh, you can make the sailing go faster in Wind Waker HD. Boring, boring, boring. Maybe if you gave us like a second Great Sea or something like that. Yeah, so I'm actually currently looking for something to replace Miiverse. So if you have any suggestions, please send a link, something, because confession alert, I actually joined a Catholic dating website with the sole intent of it being like Miiverse. I failed epically. Not a single person that I talked to liked video games, and the one that did never wrote back to me. So I figured, okay, maybe these girls care more about seeing pictures of me than of Miles Edgeworth. Why? I don't know. I mean, I'm not the world's best looking person, not the world's worst either, but still. I mean, who wouldn't go gaga over a chance to see Miles Edgeworth, Ashley Robbins, Knuckles the Echidna, and Professor Layton all in one place on a dating website? Whatever. So, as far as my current schedule for things coming up, I plan on making a part 2 of my Undertale Catholic review because I just got the true ending last night. Stayed up until nearly 3 in the morning trying to get it. And I thought it was one of the Catholic games I've ever played. Game that I'll go to church, and during the Confiteor, which for those of you that aren't Catholic is when we confess our sins, broadly speaking, to the whole community. And then we do like a light beating of the chest to show an act of public penitence. And I was using Undertale as a way of saying, have I treated people in a way that's befitting of Undertale? And the game just like makes me think, like, am I being a good Christian? Am I living up to the standards? Of course, we're saved by God's grace, but we still have to make an active act of saying yes to his call. And that involves doing stuff. Like, don't just sit there and let God do all the work. He said to his disciples, go and make disciples of all nations. He didn't say, just let me take care of it. You guys just go ahead and sleep. No. He told them to go do something, and he calls us to do it too. So yeah, that is in the works. I'm also planning on continuing to upload my Let's Play of Sonic Mania Plus. And yeah, very nice. And I plan on... I just got Lego City Undercover in the mail from Gamefly, so I plan on reviewing that for the Nintendo Switch. I would have reviewed it on the Wii U, but I don't have as much access to that as I do the Switch, because, I share a TV with my family, but the Switch, I can take it anywhere, so that's going to be a heck of a lot more convenient. And I also heard there's a multiplayer in the Switch version, which the Wii U version did not have, which is strange, because, that's what basically defined Lego games since Lego Star Wars. And then The World Ends With You Final Remix and Luigi's Mansion are coming out on the 12th, so those games are going to keep me busy. Hopefully not for too long, because I loved The World Ends With You on the DS. I actually haven't heard anything about the Mario movie, so thoughts of dread, because they've tried making Mario movies and cartoons in the past, and they were incredibly stupid from what I saw. As far as Catholic movie reviews, I have done one, and that was of the movie Soul Surfer. But I'm not sure I have what it takes to review movies, because it requires a different style than video games, because video games are an individual experience, whereas movies, it's like what you see on the screen is what you're getting. You can't really press a button or move a joystick to make the character do something else. However, I do have a couple of suggestions if people are interested. I love Harry Potter, and while I think the books are much more Christian than the movie, there are some moments in the movies that really stand out. So I could do the Harry Potter movies, especially Order of the Phoenix. Man, that movie script is just so Christian. I don't watch too many movies, so this is kind of a stretch, but I really like Tangled a lot. That was a good Disney movie. Avengers Infinity War. Nah, scratch that from the list, because I haven't really watched too many Marvel movies, so I'm probably the last person you want me to review that for, because I'll be like, well, I've only watched 3 or 4 of the Marvel movies altogether. Once Upon a Time, I've reviewed all 7. I did seasons 1 through 6 in one video, and then the entire 7th season as its own video. So that's a TV show review. I also reviewed Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, the book. Boy, do I regret doing that, but I did it. Not too many people have watched it, and I'm pretty sure I know why, because people are just like, I don't even want to touch that with a 30-foot pole. And I agree. I gave it to my ex-girlfriend, and I said, go ahead and burn it. Throw it in the trash. Do what you want. I don't want this book to be anywhere near me. It's an absolute disgrace to the Potter franchise. So the main reason I don't do Catholic movie reviews is because I don't watch too many movies. I'm mostly like the Star Wars, Harry Potter, and Lord of the Rings guy, and those have been quite overdone, especially Star Wars. Like, who hasn't written about the morality of Star Wars yet? Me, if I were to review a Star Wars movie, I'd just say, The Last Jedi didn't have enough lightsaber battles, so therefore it wasn't a cool movie. That's a pretty boring review. Not gonna lie, I watch Star Wars for the action, not the story. I know there's some cool, like, Christian undertones in there, but they're too hard to see. You have to really microanalyze every little detail, and I don't like doing that. I like just watching a cool lightsaber battle. I'm a dude. We like seeing things blow up, you know? That's why I love Infinity War so much. There are other reasons, but it's one of them. Had to take my breath because my voice was getting kind of sore. Been having quite the social day lately. My friend Allison came over earlier. Then my friend Dan wanted me to meet up at the local coffee house. And then I saw my friend Alicia with her friend, which was also my friend. And then we got to talking for a bit. And it's like, wow, I'm not used to this much on a Monday. But for my fans, I'll put up with it. I love it. So, my question to you is, have you ever seen Once Upon a Time? Because everyone knows that I just love that series. Thank you for reminding me of a general question to ask the audience. Here we go. If it'll ever load. Come on, guys. I'm typing on my own video. Not you. I'm talking to YouTube. Oh man. Yeah, it's definitely a time-consuming show because you have to like watch them in sequential order. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very confusing. Personally, I would say you don't really need to watch season 7 to fully enjoy it. Yes, but not enough people watched my reaction to that. And I think the reason is because I kind of tried to make the title too creative and maybe people didn't search for it enough. I put the nerds Nintendo news, mostly Super Smash Bros. And Fire Emblem. I'm absolutely really, really excited about Fire Emblem The Three Houses. I haven't heard that much about it, but that's okay because I hadn't heard much about Awakening when I went into it. And as a result, the whole like Marth's identity thing, I had no idea that they would eventually put that character in Smash Brothers, and I was able to be properly like Whoa! What a plot twist. So, less is more for Fire Emblem for me. The Nintendo Direct. I did a thought video on that, so you could just type in my thoughts on Nintendo Direct. It was ridiculous. Like, Nintendo, why not use your vast amount of resources to make another side-scrolling Mario? I mean, New Super Mario Bros. U is okay, but it wasn't really revolutionary. And not only that, but you got all these people making fun of Bowser now. And Bowser's like the coolest part of Paper Mario 2. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn song, Isabelle in Smash Brothers was okay. I didn't think she was there, but if she ends up making a like better story mode, then I'm all for it. I'm like totally like, Sakurai, just give me a story mode. I'm set. You can make the worst character roster ever. You can like just cram the soundtrack with mostly just brawl songs. I'll be happy. Just please give me a story mode. I'm trying to remember everything that was revealed at the Direct. City Skylines, could care less. I'm not really the micromanaging type. Board games, not really much of a board game person, although I love chess. Super Mario Party didn't sound really interesting to me, mostly just because they are requiring me to play it on my TV, which is not cool because I like the Switch games to be flexible. What did they announce? Bowser's Inside Story for the 3DS sounded cool because I never gave the DS version a try because I thought it was super weird. But maybe if it's on the 3DS, it'll improve some of the issues. Animal Crossing, I've kind of been burned out by Animal Crossing, to be honest. So unless they have a feature that fixes the issue of you have to be playing this time and like allows you to have a month off or a year off and the town's not going to kill you, I think I'd be okay with it. But that's the main reason why I've sold pretty much every Animal Crossing game I have. It's just like, I don't like that much commitment to attention from my video games. OSHA was more like The World Ends With You, where the game keeps track of how long you've been away, and the longer you've been away from the game, the more experience points you get. So it actually encourages you to not, or go to sleep and like not play it all night. Okay, let's see. Town looked so stupid. I'm not a huge fan of Game Freak's RPGs in general. So I plan on renting Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Not because I'm a Pokemon fan, but it's because I'm not a Pokemon fan. And that game seems to be directed towards people like me who can't stand Pokemon and want it to be more of an experience that's going to attract newcomers. Because I reviewed Detective Pikachu. I loved that game because it wasn't like a Pokemon game. It didn't have random battles. In fact, you didn't even kill any of the Pokemon. And Detective Pikachu is just a really likable character. I think I'd like it if Pikachu had a detective hat in Smash Brothers Ultimate. You'll have to remind me about some of those games because I'm kind of blacking out because the people I was sitting next to kept interrupting me when we tried rewatching it. Damon Ex Machina didn't sound that great. Thought it looked cool, but I don't see myself buying it or renting it. Most of the indie games I saw. Editing, I use Windows Movie Maker. As far as audio, I just use my computer's microphone. I may end up buying a new microphone eventually because lately when I've gone to edit my videos, like I've noticed that my voice is really soft. And it's like I'm practically bellowing into the microphone in order for me to be heard. And I don't like doing that. I like to be able to speak softly. And yet it still comes out as like voice is barely over a whisper. So if viewers send in enough complaints saying I can barely hear you in your videos, then yes, I'll absolutely invest in a microphone. As far as a webcam, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not overly excited to do that yet because I don't really see the need at the moment because this webcam right here seems to be getting the job done. And if I ever move to a new house and I get like a proper desk, I'm just going to pop the computer on the desk and just speak into the microphone. Because it's not worth me spending money on something that I'm not going to use all that much. Now, I'm sure you know this, but I'm not the world's best editor. But I would like to say that I really enjoyed, and I'm the type of person that's overly critical of my work. So I'll tell you which of my videos I hated if that's what you really want to hear. But one of my favorite videos to work on was the Catholic Nintendo Nerd's favorite moments, where I just clipped and copied and pasted like the funniest one-liners I did. Because before I got my capture card up and running, I tried to use a lot of visual and written humor on the spot, which is what I usually do to captivate my audiences when I do public speeches. And a lot of my friends who watched it really liked it. They were like, "Man, Paul, you say some of the craziest things on the camera." Well, times have changed. Apparently, people want to see the games more than they want to see me. I don't know if it's the hair or maybe it's because the games are in HD and I'm not. Who knows? So what about you? Was there anything in the Direct or E3 that stood out to you? Oh yeah, Yoshi's Crafted World. I forgot about that. I am really excited for that because I loved Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World on the 3DS. I think I put that as like number 10 on my best games I've ever reviewed list just because it was such a fun and cute platformer. So if Crafted World is anything like that, I'll be floored away by it. And Yoshi's Story I beat countless times on the Nintendo 64, so I do love Yoshi. I don't like Yoshi's Island very much at present because Baby Mario is really annoying, but I do enjoy a good Yoshi. While you're typing that out, I'm going to be thinking of what else was shown at either the Direct or E3. Yeah, me too. I actually did not get my Switch for Smash. I got it for a Fire Emblem or for a Phoenix Wright. And thankfully, we have now officially gotten announcements for both. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy is coming to the Nintendo Switch. And even though I've already played those games to death on DS, WiiWare, and 3DS, I'm going to get the trilogy again on the Switch because I am such a diehard Ace Attorney fan. So much so I have bought and beaten every Ace Attorney game that's been released in the West. And if I believed in illegal importations, I would totally get the Great Ace Attorney as well. So I'm hoping Capcom will eventually localize those because I thought it was really cool, the concept of being able to win over the jury. But apparently they put in a lot of racist comments in the Japanese version, including there's a scene where like a guy that looks like Hitler is like cramming a child behind his shoulder. I can see that not going over very well with the American audience. Personally, I'm not the type of guy that gets easily offended. Just keep out the homosexual stuff in the games, and I'm cool. What are you most excited about for Smash? For me, it's the music. I'm just like, I was blown away when they announced that there would be roughly 900 tracks and that you could listen to it while the Switch was turned off. Technically, you could do that on the 3DS as well, but the 3DS only had 135 songs. 900? And with hopefully a lot of them being orchestral, which is my favorite genre of music, I'm going to be like beyond stoked for that. Typing out a discussion topic. Why is my number not going up? Not the viewer count, the oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've never been a huge fan of clone characters. So I'm kind of ho hum. Like, I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, but yet the announcement of Crom just didn't excite me at all. Because I was like, another Sword Master? But then again, I don't hate Sakurai's decision to do it because I know that a lot of people have requested Crom. And even though he's a clone character, Sakurai's listening to the fans. And that's cool because Smash Brothers is a personally, the character I'm looking forward to the most in the roster is Simon. Mind you, I've never played a Castlevania game, but yet his move set looks really, really cool. And I feel like that'd be the kind of character that I'd probably end up making my main character. Ah, slow thing is not helping my typing. Come on. Here we go. Yes, I will get to that as soon as I finish typing this. So, hobbies outside of gaming. I really love going for walks, especially in the cold weather. Like whenever it's autumn or winter time where I live in basically seventh heaven. I love swinging when I have free time, if I have free time. I love doing Sudoku puzzles. That's my equivalent of coffee because coffee makes me feel like I'm on drugs. So I usually don't drink that unless it's decaf. And even then, I only have like this much in a cup. So yeah, I play Sudoku puzzles. I like to write. I'm actually an author, and I'm currently working on trying to get a novelization of Zero Time Dilemma published, or at least put on a fan fiction site. Because I've written 3 walkthroughs already, and I wrote another one. But I've also written a trilogy plus a spin-off to the trilogy. Plus, I'm currently writing sort of a meta spin-off of like a bunch of books I've written. So I'm really into like creative writing. I probably have the world record for the most Facebook notes ever. Like I'm almost at 300 now. I like t-shirt collecting, and I love chaperoning youth conferences. Now, because of all the sex scandals and allegations in the Catholic Church lately, I'm going to have to be a lot more vague with how I talk about those conferences because the slightest thing I say may cause people to like accuse me of something I didn't do, like, you know, what they're doing with what's his name? Judge Kavanaugh. I mean, I think if you're going to accuse someone of something like that, you need the proof to back it up. And a lot of times they're going to take the teenager's word over mine, and that's just kind of a screwed up justice system. Like, you should go by the sheer hard facts, not just by hearsay. Because if someone says, oh, that guy abused me, when all I did was smile, like, how am I supposed to know that smiling is abuse? Some people love smiling. But yeah, I love going on mission trips. I love chaperoning big conferences. Have a ton of playlists where I have like footage of either stuff that's happened at the conferences. There's one of me imitating the Bohemian Rhapsody from 4 years ago, if you want to see that. And I've also got some exclusive footage from like NCYC and CHWC. And I also really like playing chess. I think that's my favorite board game because there's no luck involved. It's completely strategy oriented. And I guess you could say I'm kind of a tactical mastermind of sorts. Not the biggest in the world, because my brother Matthew, he like thinks 12 moves ahead. I'm usually only thinking like 2 moves ahead. But I do love just like doing a showdown with my brain as opposed to with my fists. And I love getting into sword fights. Does that answer your question sufficiently? I'm a man of many talents. Oh, and I like playing the guitar. I've been a guitarist since I was a teenager. And I've written music for the guitar. And I like to play the guitar. I also like to sing. Sometimes I'll just start singing at work when everyone is listening. And I also like sleeping when I get a chance, to be honest. Because I work 5 days a week. And when you're like constantly exercising, because my job is very physically demanding, it's like sometimes I need time to just sit still. I actually have already done that. My very first video on this channel, way back in 2013, was The Great Embrace, which is a song that I wrote. And I also eventually did another video of The Great Embrace, this time with my brother as the drummer and me singing into a microphone. Wasn't particularly impressed with the microphone quality, but I think the combination of guitar and drums was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Then I did Praise You With My Broken Heart, a duet with my friend Kara, so you can look that one up. I keep putting this off, but I also wrote a song called The Knife of Fire, which is a depressing praise and worship song. So I plan on eventually writing chords to that and playing that on YouTube. If you really want me to do a video on music, I'd probably end up wanting to play something like Oceans, because I really love pretty much anything Hillsong does. And Oceans is my favorite church hymn because you can take it both literally and figuratively, and the meaning is still just as powerful. Now, videos on how to play the guitar, I honestly am not the best person to teach. Piano and harmonica, absolutely. Because I taught myself how to play the harmonica, and I can teach pretty much anyone. But the guitar, no. You have to like really study the fretwork, and you have to like train your hands to be used to calluses. And then you have to like train yourself to be able to sing and play at the same time, which is a lot harder than it sounds if you're not used to it. And then you also have to know like what you can't play and what you can play, and then know how to like adjust your range to where the capo is. And that's just a lot to teach people. And I don't know if I'd know how to teach people how to do it without totally confusing them. But yeah, if you have any requests, I mostly do Christian songs because they tend to have the easiest chord patterns. But if something is addictive that has an easy enough strum pattern, like I've always wanted to do Lost in Thoughts All Alone on guitar, but the chords are really hard. So if maybe Jump Up Superstar has really easy chords, I'll do that. I've also wanted to do a one-man performance of the Once Upon a Time musical. I've held off on doing that because I've wanted to make sure the house is completely abandoned, because I'm kind of selective about when I sing. And I want to do all of the songs justice. Like if I'm going to do Captain Hook's song, I want to make sure I've got the British accent down pat. Same thing with another character that I don't want to spoil. When I do Prince Charming's and Snow White's song, I want to be able to like capture their individual range when they're singing solo. When they're singing a duet, I got to think like I got to do some kind of neutral range that's between them. And then Emma's song, I cannot do her range, so I got to figure out like how to sing it with as much power as her, but with my own range. And then the final song was sung by like a huge cast of people. So am I even going to be able to try to do that song with just one voice when like there were like 20, 30 some odd people singing it? Because I have been in a choir before, so it's how to sing. It's that all have different standards for what they hear. And that can make singing for me an absolute chore. Although I have sung Mozart's Requiem in D minor, and if I had enough requests for it, I'd love to sing like certain portions of it here on the channel. Especially the Rex Tremende. That was a lot of fun to sing in the choir. Well, if no one else joins, I'm probably going to discontinue this chat at 11. So if you've got anything else to say, type it out, because my voice is pretty much shot. And I do not feel like going up and getting a glass of water just to continue this, because I've been talking a lot more than I probably should have all day. And my job involves a lot of shouting, so I'm probably going to want to save my voice for then. So I'll type that out for the audience. And I might be coming down with something as well. Who knows? I mean, now let me type it. Okay, so I saw that my counter went down to 0 for a minute, so because my voice is getting really, really sore, that's why I'm ending the stream at 11. Not because I'm disinterested or because I haven't gotten enough viewers, but just because I feel like I'm going to lose my voice if I keep talking. So I'm just going to shut up, let you say either goodbye or one more question, and then I'm going to call it a night. My favorite console depends on your definition. Because when it comes to the fact that I can play it wherever I want, the Switch would definitely be my favorite. But the thing is, the Switch is making a lot of missteps that other systems have effortlessly corrected. Like the Wii U, for example, not only can it play Wii games, but you can also download Wii games. Plus, it has a virtual console. The gamepad is a lot more comfortable than Joy-Cons, and also the Wii U has compatibility with Wii controllers, in case you don't like the gamepad, whereas the Switch is pretty much just Joy-Cons, GameCube controller, or Pro controller. It doesn't have all the options, and it's not back compatible with Wii U games. So it's like Nintendo has to do all these stupid ports, whereas in the Wii U era, they didn't need to do that. All they had to do was just say, here's a Wii disc, pop it in, or put it on the virtual console. I think Nintendo's being very stupid with the way they're handling the Switch. But on the other hand, if something comes out that I can play it wherever I want, instead of waiting around for the perfect opportunity to get the TV, Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Oh my goodness. Definitely the Switch, but it definitely needs some improvement. Whereas the Wii U is great in terms of what it has to offer, especially that it has an internet browser, YouTube, Netflix all built into it. But yet, it doesn't have enough games that are gamepad only, which makes it a little bit of a misstep. But Breath of the Wild is, and I certainly did not like the Switch version very much, to put it lightly. So I'm glad the Wii U has that. And for that, I'm going to say the Wii U slightly edges out over the Switch, but thankfully the Switch has room to improve. So that was a bit of an indirect way of saying it, but depending on both the Wii U and the Switch are pretty darn equal, in my opinion. So with that, thank you very much, GG Gecko, or is it GG_Gecko? Whatever your name is, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for illuminating me on some topics for videos. I will get around to a couple of those when I have a chance. And for any of you that were watching and my computer was just stupid enough not to show you on the live stream, I hope you realize how grateful I am for over 200 subscribers. And until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and keep the questions and requests coming because I love hearing them. Bye.